Alright, what's up guys? This is Ryan with Elevate Security, and in this video I wanted to address one of the questions that I've gotten on a recent video. Recently I've been doing a lot of the web app exploitation stuff, and one of the videos I made was on SQL injection, well, a few of them actually, and particularly where I was using the SQL map tool. Now, as I stated in the video, I think it's really important to know how to use the tool like that, not only because it's going to be very practical in the real world, and if you were exploiting SQL injection, you would probably be using that tool in the real world, but also because it just helps you understand how to, the more tools that you know, the more you have at your disposal, the stronger you're going to be as an attacker. And with the OSCP, I do realize that it is a banned tool, and there are a few other tools that I'll cover in this video that are banned as well. But you will be using it in the labs. I'll say that. There are some boxes that are the exploitation of the SQL injection is cumbersome enough, just from my own experience, cumbersome enough that it would warrant using a tool like SQL Map, SQL Ninja, something like that. Now, I wanted to speak even more broadly on the banned tools in the OSCP as well. And let me just say, if you've been enjoying this content so far, feel free to like and subscribe. Definitely helps me out and lets me know that you guys are enjoying this content, and lets me know what type of content I need to make more of. And any comments in the section below is always really helpful as well, just to help you guys out better. But one of the videos that I'm going to do in the near future, the reason I say this is in the near future I'm going to do a type of Q&A video on OSCP, my experience, because I have taken the exam before, I have done the 3-month lab and all that. So drop your questions down in the comments section. I'm going to be sort of compiling those together and creating a Q&A type video where not only do I talk about my experiences with the OSCP, but I also answer any of the questions you guys might have. So yeah, definitely help me out there and I'll help you guys out. But yeah, there's a number of tools that are banned on the OSCP. SQL Map is one of them. SQL Ninja, which is another tool that's pretty much, I never use it myself, but from what I hear, it's pretty much just like SQL Map, just a different tool for that same purpose. And any vulnerability scanner is banned. I got to check. I believe that probably means that Nikto is banned, because technically that is a vulnerability scanner. But for sure, you can't use Nessus or OpenVOS or anything like that on the exam. And then obviously, Metasploit, not particularly banned, but you only get one usage of that on the exam. So I know a lot of people would see things like this, and to begin with, let's be honest, to begin with, a lot of people are intimidated by the OSCP anyways. But then when they see this stuff, it kind of incites a little bit more fear in them, because these are tools that they might be comfortable using, especially Metasploit and stuff like that. When people first start out, they use Metasploit a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I used a lot of Metasploit when I first started learning this stuff. It's a good way to ease in to the exploitation, and eventually you grow from that and you transition into doing manual exploitation, and yeah, you elevate yourself, in the area of offensive security, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. And one thing I'll say is that, some people, a lot of people are really intimidated, even more so when they hear they can't use these tools, or they're limited in how much they can use these tools on the OSCP exam. But one thing I will say is that while these, I guess you could say, limitations exist, at the same time, the people that are creating these exam machines for OSCP, they know that you're not allowed to use these tools. So they're going to create the exam boxes in a way that reflects that. So for example, right? When I took the OSCP, now keep in mind that the boxes are not the same on the exam. They rotate them out. There's a pool. Basically, the way that it works, and I'll go into this maybe more in the Q&A video, there's a pool of machines that they rotate in and out. So you don't know which ones you're going to get. But I will say that in my experience, I didn't have to do any SQL injection on the exam boxes that I had. Now, that's not to say that none of the exam boxes involve SQL injection. There very well might be. But what I will say is they take that into account. So they're not going to give you... You can rest easy knowing that they're not going to give you a box that requires some crazy blind SQL injection that you would have to exploit manually in order to get a shell on the box, right? They're going to take into account the fact that you're having to do this manual. So if there is SQL injection, it would be very trivial, very simplistic to get your shell. So yeah, definitely learn the manual way to exploit things, but I would say don't skip out on learning the tools, even if they're banned. Because remember, this is going to help you after the OSCP as well. But in terms of what to focus in on, as long as you know the manual exploitation of SQL injection, you'll be fine. And then as far as Metasploit, it's the same thing, right? All this stuff you can exploit manually. And the boxes they give you on the OSCP, there's probably going to be one that's like pretty crazy manual exploitation, but from my experience, there's at least also been some easier boxes on the exam too. So if you do the extra credit, then you don't necessarily have to root all 5. But the hardest boxes, from what I've heard as well, the hardest boxes in the OSCP lab are more difficult than the exam boxes. I would have to assume that's true. I can't say 1,000% because I didn't root all 5 of them. But I did come pretty close in a lot of cases. So, yeah, I wanted to touch on that as basically, absolving the fear that you guys might have of the fact that you can't use these certain tools. They definitely take this into account, and you're not going to need the tools, right? Now, I will close with one caveat on... or way around it, perhaps. I wouldn't imagine, first of all, I wouldn't imagine that you would need to use SQL Map, SQL Ninja, any of these tools on your exam. However, if you're really struggling and you do come across some SQL injection that you're having trouble with manually, you could just use a tool that isn't SQL Map and isn't SQL Ninja and is made for automated SQL injection. There's a lot of SQL injection tools out there. Coming to mind is like BBQ SQL. I don't know. I would have to look at like a list to see. There's plenty of them though. Is my point here. So there are tools that you can use that aren't banned. And when it comes to vulnerability scanning, they're all banned. All those tools are banned, right? And Metasploit is kind of a one-of-a-kind tool, but you can always do that like manually, right? Using some exploits you find either through Searchsploit or somewhere online. And yeah, there's ways to work around these things, right? So that was just the point that I wanted to close with. But yeah, definitely, like I said, throw those questions down in the comment section below. I'll be doing my OSCP Q&A, talking about my experiences a little bit more in depth in a future video coming soon. So yeah, I hope this video was of help to you guys and sort of absolve some of that fear that you might have and that resistance to going for this certification. And I will see you guys in the next video.